and welcome to another episode of Who Gives a Hoot. I'm Luke. That's Jon. There, wherever it ends up. And we've got a couple games we don't really want to talk about. Last Wednesday, we played Sporting Kansas City. We did really well for 119 minutes. And then 120th minute, we let up a goal that went through traffic and was just a clusterfuck of a goal. But it was a goal and it was enough to get Kansas City through.
Yeah, it's definitely the kind of goal where if you're the side that has arguably the better talent, you put more opportunities similar to that, something is going to happen. And this one just happened to be in the 120th minute of a game. It's stings more, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone watching that game thought it was a boring game. Granted, it wasn't high scoring, but it was a very good back and forth. Union Omaha played extremely well. And Kansas City, as we predicted, did not hold back in their starting lineup. They were playing, I think they started two DPs. More than half of their starting lineup was out there in between two rivalry games.
So I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, 9 of their top minutes, that was my cell phone. 9 of my
Popular.
9 of the 9 of their 11 leading MLS minutes players played in the game. It's more like it's pretty much 8. Davis was a very, very, very late unplanned sub on for an injury. Yeah. So it's probably fair to say 8 players that play regularly for them played in this game. And, not very many of them played a little bit of the game. They made 2 halftime subs for guys that play all the time and kept it coming. They made either 4 or 5 subs before we made our first sub. And, you could analyze that from both directions, but it's clear we made them try. And it was by no means like a walk in the park for them.
Well, and I mean, when you talk about MLS having or congestion and everything, Union Omaha's congestion going into the game, that was the 3rd game in 7 days.
And through it, we played a 4th game in 11 days.
We had another game to play following week. Sporting, comparatively, granted, they'd played a game Saturday before and then had a game Saturday after, didn't have that extra game in there. So while they may not have been coming in fresh, they were coming in not having as much hard playing time there for their starters. So all I could do is really say, hats off to the boys. Like they put everything into that. It was a well-maintained game without a hold-up player like Steven out there. We still were able to create chances. Our defense was fantastic. Two of our best players out there, stats-wise, were our defenders. Like that's not something you typically see at a 3rd-tier level going up against 1st-tier, but really, really showed. And the counters building out of the back were fantastic.
It took a little while for us to kind of build the confidence for those counters. Yeah. It started. I mean, there was a stretch going into like close to the 90th minute where it looked like we were just as likely to pull one out before the end of the 90th minute, not them. And then, first few minutes of extra time, we were just as lively as they were getting scoring efforts. It's just there was a good stretch of the game where it was, I think, a little too quick for us. And
Yeah.
but honestly, we handled it well. I don't think we ran out of gas per se. I think it's just,
So
again, you give up more chances, then they're more likely to get one. That's all that happened.
the one thing in retrospect, and I was kind of thinking it during the game, is I think Dom started making subs for a potential shootout uh, into stoppage time, and I don't know if that affected potentially the flow and the communication we had going throughout the game, but I, I don't think making the subs are wrong. Guys out there were gassed, but just breaking up the chemistry that had been building over such a long game, I think may have affected the chances Sporting had late in the second period of extra time.
And you might be playing bunker ball, sure, but that does not mean that you're not expelling energy. It takes just as much energy, not just to obviously like defend first and then counter next, but also to communicate with that, because there's a lot more communication that happens when you're playing mostly from the back and trying to defend. You're switching defenders, you're, having to basically watch the blind side for the person next to you. It's when you're counterattacking, it's just, one guy has the ball, maybe another guy makes a run, and if you weigh the pass properly, you've got a shot. It sometimes is just as exhausting defending than it is attacking.
Oh, and I mean, especially against a team like that, it was a physical match. Sporting picked up more yellow cards than we did, but we picked up our fair share. Like it was not something where easy game of bunker ball towards after we scored our goal. Like it was very physical, a lot of tactical defending, keeping the fouls to a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one call in the game. I thought it was well ref for most of it, but there was one no call in the game that I think would have changed everything.
Are you talking about one no call on a foul or just a call in general? Because if it's in general, I know what it is.
Call in general.
Oh, it's the pass back.
The pass back. 100% that pass back. It like that should have been an indirect free kick in the box. And for some reason, the ref who was looking right at it, either it just didn't click to him because he didn't think an MLS side would be the one doing it, or something. But no call there.
My thought is maybe the ref wasn't looking directly enough at the play, because if it's just their peripheral vision, Misael Rodriguez kind of had his foot lunged because he was trying to make an effort on the tackle and trying to make a stab at the ball. And if you're either not looking at it directly or, you're looking at it maybe from behind, it could have looked like Misael kicked the ball. But if you look at it really close from any angle, you see grass in between where his foot was and the ball. Clearly he didn't touch it. And it's just a bad break. Happens.
Well, and that's definitely something where I think the linesman may have had a better angle on it, and should have said something. But ultimately, it wasn't called. No VAR that level, and did it cost us the game? Probably not, but it would have been something that I think could have given us a nice edge, a good chance to slow down, a good
indirect free kicks are always fun.
Oh yeah.
Nobody would have disliked that.
Yeah, like I think that would have definitely been something that given some good life to the team. Slow it down, have a set piece in their box. Be able to use some of the height and muscle that we have before they'd made some subs. Like, it would have been an interesting one, but didn't happen. The cup remains fun. It's great to see those battles between top tier and third tier sides, top tier, second tier, any tier. No, great to see the cup continue, and hope it does further on.
And congratulations to the ownership group of Manchester City for getting an extra $50,000 American in the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah.
Just let that breathe. How stupid that is.
Yep. All right. Let's talk about the next cup game. The USL League One Jaeger Cup. Where 3 days after playing against Sporting Kansas City, kind of at home, boys flew out to Spokane, Washington to face off against, what are they, the Velocity?
Mm-hmm.
It could have been the Velociraptors. I think that would have been cooler, but decided to go with Velocity.
I think that would have gotten old.
I mean,
then there would have been some. They would have tried to do some like co-branding with Jurassic Park, because they're never going to stop making those, and it gets dicey.
oh, I mean, could be really cool Jurassic Park co-branded merch.
Probably, I mean, in my opinion, better than a weekly rotating kit sponsor that if you're watching the broadcast, you do not know who it is. And you're, of course, not going to pause the stream to take a QR code.
Always their advertising. Like they do a couple advertisement pre-game, middle game, post game with who their sponsor is, I believe.
Oh, for that actual game?
I think so.
Oh, I guess I should pay attention more. But again, that should be for Spokane people. But Spokane people should be at the game.
But I know everybody is against me when I say this, but I thought we looked flat. I thought we understandably looked flat. The squad was not highly rotated. No, we went in there. It's a long distance to travel after playing a tough game.
I think we looked flat. I just think in this game, we played against a team that plays quick enough to take advantage of a defense that's not that to take advantage of a defensive combination that really hasn't played together. That's the thing. And did Luka sub off at halftime? I think he did.
Luka subbed off at halftime.
Yeah. So obviously that was planned. He wasn't hurt. He just played 120 minutes a few days ago. Every other defender that started that game sat. Am I correct? Or no, Ryan started both games, or did Ryan sub on against Sporting?
I think Ryan subbed on against Sporting.
Okay. So, and these are guys that have played. Brandon Knapp has played. Will Perkins has played. It's just, it's a combination of guys that haven't started a game and been asked to play a majority of a game before. So,
well, and you put Wallace in goal,
which I think we all saw coming.
Yeah, we all saw it coming. Wallace is a great goalkeeper, but he does not have the commanding presence with this team that Rashid does. And I felt like, especially that first goal of theirs, you saw, I don't think Rashid would have left direction out to his defenders to allow that to happen.
Just a lot went wrong there. Lagos is in a position that he doesn't need to be in. I liked how Wallace immediately went to Lagos and just encouraged him. I thought that was something you see a veteran do. And it's, it has me confident that he's probably going to play more Jägermeister Cup games, and we're going to be fine with it. And we're going to be just fine with him starting most of our Jaeger Cup games.
Definitely.
But I think that's the basic narrative for the entire game in general. It's just, guys not being in positions that they're playing in, or guys just aren't seeing enough time in general. And Spokane they play quick. they get the ball and they ask themselves, how fast can we get this to the net and take a shot?
Yeah.
And probably one of the worst opponents we could play after to
Immediately.
end at the
Yeah.
end of a stretch like we've had.
Luis is officially dead to us.
Did he celebrate?
Oh, yes, he did.
I
Big,
missed that.
big Selly. That and when the game started, we were all at the watch party just thinking, how's this kid doing? We haven't seen his kid on camera. And then he celebrates. Now he's dead to us. Like, it's tough. It's tough playing against former players. But yeah, to your point, they're very quick, physical, but not in a dirty way. And
No, and that game was officiated very well. No complaints from that game.
Yeah, I did not find that game to be poorly officiated. Any of the questionable calls were questionable because they should be questionable. I think there was one potential offside that it didn't result in a goal, but should have been an offside there, and it was, VAR would have probably had to have stepped in. Easier to see on the broadcast than probably on the line. Mm-hmm. Lagos essentially gives that first goal away, but it kicks his ass in high gear the rest of the game with some of the best footwork I've ever seen him do. He was playing straight up Brazilian for most of the rest of the game.
Him and Aaron both were kind of feeling it. They were.
Yeah.
It was almost like watching it was almost like watching old ISO NBA and just guys confident with the ball and just waving their teammates away, just like saying, I want this, I want this, I want this.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's kind of what we should expect from the Jaeger Cup is it doesn't matter. So why not have fun with it?
I think that's what we're going to see probably until I'd say about once we get to August. I think the teams that can win it are going to start thinking 3 points instead of 3 goals, right?
Yeah. And I mean, at that point, every team that's been eliminated will say this cup doesn't matter. And every team that's still left in it says this is the greatest thing to ever exist.
Mm-hmm.
Until they get knocked
out. Focus on getting one of those 8 playoff spots. Second show in a row, I've made a snide comment like that.
Yeah. Well, based on the expansion sides announced coming in next year, 8 playoff spots is looking a little bit more manageable.
Maybe the league's sweating now. Now maybe they think we need to go to 12.
No, don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas.
If I want to give them ideas, let's give them ideas that actually, as stupid as they sound, make more sense. Let's make lower seed teams win twice, or maybe let's make them win by 2 goals or something. Or maybe, hell, in Liga MX now, I think higher seeded teams advance in draws, don't they? At least they've done that before. I don't know if they still do it.
It might. I haven't followed their playoff structure that much. But we've got Texoma coming on next year, Santa Barbara, Antelope Valley, Portland, and Westchester is next year too.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single team that's on the horizon that is not next year.
I think there's is not Tampa, Naples? Are they next year?
I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know. They've been coming so fast. So
yeah.
Just so located everywhere. It's hard to keep track.
Well, I mean, it's great for the growth of the league. No, we're starting there. The middle part's not filling in as quick as we'd like, but there are definite moves towards bridging the gaps between areas, so teams have a closer away day, which is helpful. Us at Omaha, very much appreciate having Northern Colorado and Madison within a 5, 6, 7 hour drive.
Naples is planning on next year, and we also missed Eugene. Everybody we said are planning on next year.
I mean, that's going to be a huge year. A lot of new blood. Interesting to see the player pool, how that goes.
That's my first thought too.
But before we get to talking next year, and we can talk about that all season long as teams announce coaches, technical staff, all of that, you need to move to Charlotte. So
not permanently.
Not permanently. But we found it. We found Charlotte. And we will be playing there on Friday. They're a tough team. They haven't lost any of their spite from last year. We've played them once already at home. This will be our 5th league game?
6th, I think.
You sure?
Not 100%. Because I'm not gonna try and figure that out on the fly. But I remember before they came to Omaha thinking that, I thought at that time more so even than Spokane that they're our worst matchup because they can catch us on the counter. They've got enough guys to catch us on the counter to be dangerous. I think on any given day, they're probably our worst matchup more so than Spokane. Spokane was mostly because, we were tired, but Charlotte's the one team that I think, we have to always play our best to give them a good run. And this will be our 5th league game.
I know one statistical fact. Don't ask me for anything else the rest of the year.
You guessed one statistical fact correctly. That's what I'm going to go with.
I did not guess. It was an educated guess because I looked at Thought Mob yesterday.
Okay, so recall. Okay.
We haven't had a huge rest period because we played Saturday. We're playing first game Friday, going from West Coast to the East Coast. Guys had 2-3 days home of actual practice. I know Dom's big on practice before flying rather than practicing there. But while it's our longest stretch of rest in a while, it's not that long.
Well, and it still differs from a typical routine where you're going from Saturday to Saturday to Saturday. So even if it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot what it was like to have a couple of days off, it's still, you probably are getting ready for bed Wednesday, and then thinking to yourself, oh no, I just forgot. We fly tomorrow. We don't fly Friday.
Yeah.
And, then, you just have that brief little, mental lapse and get over it, hopefully, and, prepare for practice the next day. Because I think you're right. I think we've been typically taking later flights out when we leave because we practice here the day before game.
So with this lineup, I think you start Shido. He had rest Saturday. He's been captain. Definitely the guy to start there. He's got a little bit more beef with Charlotte than Lapsley. Don't know if Dos Santos is healthy, but I'd like to see Dos Santos back in there.
I'd be surprised if he travels. If he travels, it's a really good sign. If he travels and he's on the bench, that I would be shocked. I think we're going to see, and I think it's going to be a lineup a lot like we saw against Sporting, and maybe we see Misael start. But then again, I think we're still getting to the point to where Dom hasn't been able to find like his 13 guys yet, because he started with a different like 15 to start the season, and then guys got healthier, guys got here, and now he's having to kind of shift things up a little bit because of a condensed schedule. Your guess is as good as mine.
I think the only thing we know for certain is he plays a flat three in the back, or that's what he's been playing this season. Blake, Luca, and Jerome.
Yeah, with Luca in the dead center, and I won't take credit for this. Somebody else told me this, but I think like Blake and Jerome definitely have a little bit more permission, I guess, to streak up the field. So like, Blake is playing on the left side of center. Then like Marco's probably just told, hey, if you see the number 3 jersey, you drop back.
Well,
and I think the wings are just helping each other out with that.
I think it's fostering a more creative play this year than we've seen in previous years. Guys are like, it's not total football, but it's not. Like, guys are really working more up the field. You see guys tracking back better. You see more forwards defending, more defenders up top, taking chances. Like, it's a lot more fluid game, and I like it.
One thing I think it definitely does. I bet it's harder to prepare for. And if you also notice, like, if you look at just like the average positioning of our players, there's not like a cluster in the center of the field. It's either still very spread out wide, or you can tell that we favored one side or the other. And that's just where we're hanging out with for the most of the game. Look at the average positioning of our players for Spokane. Everybody's almost dead center of the field, which I think is the last thing we want to do.
Well, that, again, I think boils down to more of we were tired. This, hopefully, with at least some mental rest, if not physical rest, you won't see that like compactness. You'll see playing wide. I mean, that's a good wide field. It's a good pitch over there, in a soccer specific stadium built or starting construction before the MLS side really took off. So
expect to see a lot of Dion, I think, on Friday. He didn't even make the trip to Spokane, did he?
I don't believe he did. No.
Yeah, so he's had a week and a half. Expect to see go through him a lot on Friday.
Yeah. Dion, hoping for Misael to start. I think Lagos comes off the bench, but I think we see Ryan start.
Lagos could probably use a game coming off the bench. He's played a lot of high impact, a lot of high, a lot of sprinting minutes.
Yeah, like even with most of a week's rest, I think coming off the bench would be just good. Kind of rotate him through, let him rest a little bit, watch the game, because he understands the game very well. He's a very creative player. He gets into the space, reads the space well, for the most part. Except he's trying to pass in while playing defense, which he could never play defense. Don't play defense, Lagos.
Although I think it's gonna be a lot of pace. This is our last game for a week and a half, so
True.
Not a whole lot to look forward to immediately.
Yeah, I expect a lot of counters, and I think it's gonna be a high scoring game.
Has the potential to be, but I mean, two of the better goalkeepers in the league. It would be a little surprising if it happens. Definitely has the potential, though. Both teams do.
Yeah, I think it will. I'm not going to put score predictions out there unless you want to give one.
Nah, score predictions are so. Let's wait for the playoffs for that.
Never knew you to be one who's considering things passe.
Me? Never.
Yeah. that'll be on ESPN Plus. I believe Parliament's doing their watch party at Cross Drain downtown. Millwork, Draftworks, whatever the hell it's called. Always a good time. I believe Benson is still watching at St. Andrews. So two opportunities for watch party. Get out to one, have fun, enjoy soccer. Let's jump into some news, soccer related in the Metro and team related. Looks like there's the UPSL team, the Council Bluffs Captains Football Club, is going to be doing open tryouts here in next couple weeks, or they might already be happening. I don't pay that close attention. They're on Facebook. Seems like that's going to be a very fun one. They on their social media, they've been very good about supporting both the Omaha Kings, the what are they, MASL or MISL?
MISL now.
Yeah, the MISL team in Omaha as well as Union Omaha. So I think them being a amateur side in the Metro, definitely going to see some fun games there. More soccer to watch in the Metro. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of the Iowa side of the Metro, so I'm excited to see that kick off. Schedule incoming probably won't kick off till end of June, maybe July.
They'll usually play like a dozen games, right?
Yeah, they're similar to USL2 sort of scheduling, as I recall. And some sad news. I mean, sad, but not sad because he's still alive. Uh, Justin Annan, who had been with the team since the 2020 season as the team trainer. If you've watched a game, you've seen him. Extremely nice guy, very dedicated to the well-being of the players, and always been a huge advocate for player health. One of the reasons why Union Omaha has had players come back from injuries that you wouldn't see typically in them coming back from in the same season at the third tier level. And has his term with the team has ended. Interested to see who fills his role, but it's definitely a tough role to fill. Traveled pretty much every away game through for the 4.5 years he is with the team. There pretty much every home game. I think there's like one or two exceptions, and relating to either health or family.
Mm-hmm.
Very dedicated to the team and the players' well-being. So he will be missed. And same time, excited to see who the team brings on. And I hope it's a continued partnership with a healthcare provider in Omaha that affords the team and the players a level of care that really has set us apart in this league.
Yes. Congratulations, Justin, on whatever you're moving on to. Wish you nothing but the best.
Yep. And Union Omaha, go find somebody who's going to take as good a care of players as Justin did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Other than that, it's going to be an interesting May. For the rest of it, not a huge amount of games. We're going to broaden our gap, and then it's going to come fast and furious for the rest of the summer. Now we've got one home game left in May.
We do. Wednesday game, May 29th, another Jaeger Cup game.
Jaeger on a Wednesday is a bad idea.
That's why you take Thursday off.
All right. Well, Jaeger Cup incoming next after Charlotte. That will put us That's still only 5 league games and 3 Jaeger games and 3 Open Cup games. So we will have played more non-league games.
That'll be 4 Open Cup games.
4 Open Cup games. Yeah. I lost track. Massachusetts didn't quite register. It was cold.
Oh, I was going to say put some respect on El Paso's name, but nobody else does.
Somebody just ran train on them. But tune in, get out to a watch party. Check out the blog. Tim Howerton, Ranting Blue Penguin Media, has been writing some fantastic post-game recaps for us and some additional pieces. So subscribe to the blog. We're promoting them a little less this year just because I forget that Twitter exists half the time.
Twitter no longer exists.
Oh,
I still call it Twitter.
My problem. Maybe that's my problem. But subscribe to that. He's been writing some fantastic write-ups, getting some great interviews with players and coaches. So check his work out if you actually want to hear how the games went with some stats and interviews. His blog posts for both the Kansas City game and the Spokane game are up on the blog. That's at wgahmedia.com. And that leaves me with one last question for you, John.
What's that?
Who gives a hoot? We do.
We do.